on, everybody. Let's do this. Here we go!
Hello Musketeers, welcome to Mondays with Mickey. My name is Mike Knigge and I am your host, and this week we are going to do a Disney Snacks episode. Now, I talked to you guys last week about the snack episode, and that we had this catastrophic failure that we lost all of this footage. I went ahead and I pulled what I could salvage, and got it together and did a quick video for you this week. This week we're going to show you guys how to make Mickey Mouse or Stitch or Oswald dipped Oreos. We're going to do sugar cookies, same idea, dipped sugar cookies. We're going to do jungle juice, which you can find at Walt Disney World at the Ohana restaurant at the Polynesian, as well as Tusker House out in Animal Kingdom. And we're also going to do a spaghetti and meatballs. Now, I don't have any video footage of spaghetti and meatballs because, let's face it, it's basically just spaghetti and meatballs. It's pretty simple. Everyone eats it. But, you know, in honor of Lady the Tramp and even Tony's, restaurant in Magic Kingdom, we thought we'd have a Disney-inspired dinner to go with all of our cookie making. And on top of all this, since we're making something Oreo-related, we decided to do the gray stuff. Why? Because it's delicious. If you don't believe me, ask the dishes. Yes, we are doing the gray stuff, which you can find at Be Our Guest restaurant in Magic Kingdom. And I believe there's also a small tavern at Disneyland that is serving the gray stuff, at least currently. I don't know how long they're going to be doing it, considering they set this up as, I believe, just for the release of Beauty and the Beast. But hey, you never know. Let's see. We'll see, rather. So, come along with us. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm going to kind of talk through the pictures and videos that we have and, see what we can make out of this, somewhat failed experiment because of all the failures and transferring stuff. So, thank you guys, and hope you enjoy. Alright, so what we got here is some spaghetti and meatballs. We did that in honor of Lady and the Tramp. That's how we started our night off. Here's a quick look at some of the snacks we made. Got jungle juice there and cookies. These were the supplies. We got the Oreos there. Got pudding mix. Both our vanilla and chocolate. And we can see we actually started that already with the milk. Some Cool Whip. The little candies for the gray stuff. Oreo minis. Our Bag-O Oreos, which we'll get to that in a minute. Big old pack of Oreos. Candy melts. We melted some chocolate for the dipping of the cookies. So this is kind of all of it there, and here's a quick picture of us rolling out some of the sugar cookie dough. And this would be my wife going to town on sugar cookie dough. So for the Mickey Mouse sugar cookies, what we would recommend doing is making your own dough. There's a ton of recipes out there for sugar cookie dough. We do recommend doing it on your own. We attempted to do it with pre-made cookie dough you can get in the grocery store, but unfortunately it just doesn't pan out so well. They spread too badly and you get kind of blobbo cookies. Now, like I said, you can see her spray out the cookie dough. What we did is we just took regular cookie dough and added red food dye coloring to it, so that way you get that red color. You can see kind of back there to the top, we've got a Mickey Mouse ear cookie cutter, and we have a Princess Crown cookie cutter, and then we have a rabbit cookie cutter. The reason we did the rabbit is because, not just because of Easter, but because we were trying to create an Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, which you'll see in a minute. You can see she's using the cookie cutters to kind of stamp out some Mickey Mouse ear shapes. Now, we do recommend the Mickey Mouse cookie cutter. It makes life a lot easier to make Mickey Mouse cookies. That said, you don't have to have it. Alright, you can easily grab a larger, circular shape and some smaller circular shapes to stamp out the ears. You really don't have to do that. You can see that was the initial start of the Oswald. I did end up rounding it out a little bit afterwards, just because it looked too much like a regular Easter Bunny rabbit. But you'll see the finished product on the Oswald in a minute. But like I was saying about the ears, you can get smaller circles to make the ears for the Mickey. What you're seeing here is we did some Oreos. Now, what we did is we took large Oreos and mini Oreos. The mini Oreos for the ears for Mickey Mouse, and then we had some broken Oreos, so we made some Stitches and some Oswalds. You can see what I'm doing is I'm slicing off one of the sides of the Oreo. You want to keep the filling on one side of the Oreo, but scrape off as much from the other one as possible. See, I'm doing it with the second Oreo. You can do this with your hands if you want. I just decided to use a knife because I was in the mood to, slice it off. I don't know. But for me, it was working really well. It got better as I went along. But you can see now I'm about to do it with the ears, with the small Oreos. Now, with the small Oreos, just like the big Oreos, you want one side without frosting and one side with frosting. Alright, you just kind of poke it in, use the frosting as glue to hold the ears in. And then you'll see what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, see? Kind of paste in. Then you take the other side with the regular frosting and glue it on top. So that way the frosting acts like a glue to hold the Mickey ears together. Now, I don't recommend using things like double stuffed Oreos or mega stuffed Oreos because honestly it gets to be too much icing. Alright, this was almost too much icing by itself. So, just do regular everyday stuffed Oreos. And like I said, use the two icing sides as your glue to hold in the ears. Now what you see what I'm doing here is I'm cutting off, we had an Oreo that broke and it kind of had a little bit of a curve to it. So what I'm doing is I'm slicing off, just like we did with the mini Oreos and the regular Oreos, I'm slicing off one side so I can get one, basically ears. And this is going to be the basis for my Stitch Oreo. You can do a Stitch Oreo, you can do the Oswald. My son attempted the Oswald a couple times with it. It worked out fairly well. Honestly, I think the Stitch Oreo worked better just by the way the ears were. But you can decide on yourself what you thought, how well it turned out. But this one ended up being a Stitch Oreo. You can also do a Maleficent Oreo if you're really creative. It's more or less just a matter of coloring and how you dip it. And there you go. That's kind of the finished product again. Some up close looks of what they look like before you dip them. That was Frank grabbing them because he wanted to make his Oswalds. You can see those ended up being a bunch of Oswalds for the most part. There was I think 1 or 2 Stitch Oreos. But you can see here we've got the blue chocolate melts melted so we can dip Oreos. This one's going to be my, in fact, the white cookie there was what happens when you buy store-bought dough. It just spreads out way too much. But, alright, so the Stitch Oreo. So we're dipping that in there. Kind of getting a mix. I probably should have been wearing gloves, but honestly, I'm not making these for people. We were making them for ourselves. So if I have cooties, I'm giving myself cooties. I don't care. So for Stitch Oreo, I literally just dipped the whole thing in blue because why? Stitch is blue. It's pretty simple. And put them on some, was it parchment paper, right, honey? Wax paper. Okay, she says wax. So we put it on wax paper. We did have parchment paper, but I think we used that for the cookies, right? Yeah, for baking them. All right. This was another attempt at a Stitch Oreo. I think I'm missing a Stitch Oreo. The culprit over there. Franklin said he ate one of my Stitch Oreos. I knew I had made more than one. I didn't know where the other one went. Frankie ate it. Alright, so here's kind of a in-process look. You can see the Stitch Oreos and the Oswald Oreos were to the left. You've got your regular cookies there. Got some. This is your final product for your dipped Mickey Mouse Oreos. What we did is we dipped it in chocolate, let it cool, and then we dipped it in, dipped the bottom half in red for like the pants. What you got here is the gray stuff on top of a Mickey Mouse sugar cookie. we're getting ready to show you how to make the gray stuff. Since we had all the Oreos to make these Stitch Oreos, we went ahead and did some gray stuff while we're at it. Now, what she's doing is she's mixing the milk with the vanilla pudding mix. She's getting ready to make some vanilla pudding. The gray stuff, you can find the recipe online, and that's what we did. We knew we were making the Stitch Oreos, so might as well get the gray stuff. So she made the pudding and went to go chill it, and she spread out in a gallon-sized bag. I believe it was 15 Oreos, if I'm not mistaken. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Whatever happened to... Oh, sorry.
Oh, well, that was Franklin in the background. I guess he was trying to ask me a question.
I was trying to tell you,
What's your question, Frank?
what about the big-eared Mickey?
It's on there. They'll see it.
Oh.
Don't worry. Alright, so what you're seeing is my wife, Christine. She's pounding out some Oreos. The goal, honestly, we did it this way. We pounded it out in the bag, and we ended up rolling. You'll see us rolling it and breaking it down. The idea is you want to get it down to the consistency of sawdust, essentially. I mean, we're talking powderized Oreo, including the icing. The way we did it worked. However, if we do this again, we'll probably see about doing it in a food processor. 1, it'll be quicker in the food processor. And 2, I think the food processor will end up getting it into a smaller, finer grain consistency. So you can see we're using different tools, different rollers and stuff to try to roll it down and break it down. One of the things we also found is I think we lost some sweetness in our gray stuff because I think the icing from the cookies ended up sticking to the bag. So you kind of lost that sweetness. Alright, so what she's doing is you got that whole container there of Cool Whip, and she's adding just a little bit of chocolate pudding mix to the Cool Whip. You can pre-whip it in if you want to. She just kind of tossed it on top because she knew she was going to be mixing it all in a second. Look at the bag there. You can see where all that stuff stuck to the side. I think if that had gotten into the gray stuff, it probably would have made it a little sweeter. It still turned out great. We still love it. But, I think next time, again, we'll probably use a food processor so we don't lose anything. So you mix that in, into the vanilla pudding mix. It's kind of got that really dark, almost black consistency. Then she dumps the Cool Whip and the chocolate pudding mix into the bowl. The Cool Whip is still frozen, so you kind of want that because you want that stiffness. See, she's scooping it on in there. So you can see how dark it is before you even get the Cool Whip in there. That Cool Whip is what kind of makes it gray. Also, it gives it a lightness to it, and also that whippy texture instead of just being pudding. So, let's see, she's trying to make sure she gets every drop out of there. Cool Whip does not get wasted in this household. Not ever. But that's a lot of Cool Whip. I mean, this makes a very large batch of gray stuff. So, this stuff only lasts maybe a week. So, I would definitely recommend, once you make it, have a game plan on what you're using it for. If you're doing a house party or something like that, or if you're making something for people, you need to make sure you use up that gray stuff relatively quickly. So, like I said beforehand, it was really, really dark, kind of looked black in consistency. Now you can see it's getting that gray color. And there's the finished product. That's kind of how they serve it at Be Our Guest, although they put it like on a cookie or a tart. You can see an attempt at a rose cookie there in the center with the gray stuff with the little candies on top. Here's another look at our cookies, the finished product of the cookies. You got our crown cookies, the dipped Mickey Oreos, the dipped Stitch Oreo. You can see the Oswald, the Lucky Rabbit sugar cookie there. We dipped it in chocolate completely, and then we did some blue pants on it. You got some dipped rose cookies up there on the top right, and some Mickey Mouse cookies. That right there, my friends, is Jungle Juice. You can find that at Tusker House as well as Ohana for their breakfasts. It's a mix of orange juice, passion fruit, and guava. It's equal parts of each. And there you go. There's my cup from Be Our Guest, by the way. And that's it. That is our snacks. Again, guys, we really wanted to do a full-out video of us making these things individually, but unfortunately, life happened. We were transferring all of our footage and all of our stuff over to the computer, and I get this catastrophic failure as I'm transferring it over and lost at least half of all the footage we took. So if you want recipes, we can definitely give them to you. Just to kind of recap, the Oreos, you essentially take regular size Oreos, you slice off the one side of the Oreos, so that way you have an Oreo with the icing on it. You get 2 Oreos like that with the icing. You do the same thing with the ears, but instead of with the icing, you just do the ones without the icing. Put them on the top and smush the Oreos together. And then you can eat them like that, because they look like Mickey Mouse already, or you can dip them in chocolate, like we did. The sugar cookies, again, you can. I would not recommend getting the store-bought stuff. Even though it's easier, make it from scratch. It will turn out far better for you. So, make your cookie dough. You don't have to dye it red if you don't want to, especially if you dip it. You don't have to. We just chose to dip it. So, cut out your forms, bake them like any other sugar cookies, and then dip them however you like. We dip the ears, and then we use a little bit of chocolate to attach the candy buttons. Get creative, have fun with it. So, again, you don't have to have a Mickey Mouse mold, although it makes it easier. You can always get a large circle mold with 2 smaller circle molds. You could use a bottle cap to cut the smaller ones. Any number of options there. And you just basically pinch them together. And when they bake, they'll form together. Obviously same thing with your rose cookies. And if you have a rose mold, that's great. You can use that. The crown mold. These are just molds. It's a variant on the same idea. If you want to do the Stitch or the Oswald Oreos, it's the same idea as the Mickey Oreo. You're just changing up the ears a little bit. So, again, I hope you guys enjoyed. I really wish we could have made this thing more in depth. If you guys want recipes on how to do this, I can certainly get them for you. We'll definitely try to do some more Mickey Mouse themed or Disney themed snack videos in the future. Hopefully this time we won't have some major computer failure that'll keep us from, really going all out with it. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching this week. We look forward to seeing you all next week. I'm going to leave you as I always leave you. I hope you never lose sight of one thing. This was all started by a mouse. Thank you again for watching this week, and we'll see you all next week.